you buy a printer, sticker paper, or light for filming, you're gonna wanna watch this video. I'm moving, and as I pack up my little creative studio, I wanna show you the things that helped my small business grow, the tools, supplies, and even film gear, and show you the things that became expensive clutter. I'll go over the pros and cons of everything I used, give it a rating, and then you can decide if it's actually worth your hard-earned money. And if you're a curious person, stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to total everything up and tell you how much this room is worth. You can leave your guesses in the comments, but no cheating, and don't judge me on my spending because I already do that enough for the both of us. Let's start with the workhorses, the tools and equipment I need to run my business. This is the label printer I currently use, the Munbin 130B. And before that, I used a refurbished Munbin 941 for over 2 years. I use this for printing my shipping labels and occasionally little stickers or labels. You use thermal labels with it because it does not use ink, but also it can't print in color. So how would I rate this 1 through 10 for usefulness for my small business? Before I give you any ratings, let me just make it clear that I am rating based on personal experience. Most of my items I haven't had a chance to put up against their competitors to see how they compare. Like my Munbin label printer. Does it do its job? Yes. Great. I love it. Are there other label printers out there that are better? I don't know. Maybe. I don't own them. With that being said, I am giving my label printer, my Munbin, a 9 out of 10 because I have never regretted this purchase. This is one of the first things you should get for your small business. It is just a must, whether it's the Munbin or not. A label printer is going to save you so much time. My printers are the hardest thing to give a rating. All printers just kind of suck. Even so, I do love my Pro 300 because the quality and convenience is fantastic. When paired with the right paper, and yes, I'll talk about that later, it produces what's known as Giclée fine art prints. Those are considered archival and can last for hundreds of years. But the trade-off is that the ink is incredibly expensive, and if you don't use this printer enough, it runs cleaning cycles which keep it from becoming clogged but do use up more ink. I also have issues running my thick 250 to 300 GSM paper through the top feed, and running stuff through the manual feed requires you to, well, manually press start for each piece of paper. The final issue I've heard about with this printer is the ink absorber pad, which I haven't dealt with, but I've heard that it is a pain to reset because you either need a special tool or a professional from an authorized Canon service center to service it. I will list some other printers here that I considered before choosing the Pro 300, but if you're interested in a more in-depth printer tutorial, just let me know in the comments. In the end, I'm going to give my Pro 300 a 7 out of 10. If I could, I would love to try out the Epson SureColor P700 and see how it compares to this printer, but just based on what I know in my own experience, I think a 7 out of 10 is fitting. My second printer I use for stickers, bookmarks, and just general printing. This is the Canon Maxify GX5020. It is a tank printer, meaning it doesn't use cartridges, and it saves me so much money for that reason. There's a few good Canon Mega Tanks or Epson Eco Tanks out there. The ET8500 or 8550 are popular ones, but I chose this one because it's one of the few tank printers that use pigment inks. I'm going to throw a little Cliff Notes graphic about types of inks on the screen real quick so you can better understand why I switched to using pigment ink. The second reason I chose this printer is because it was more budget friendly. It was only $300. As for the rating, because it works so well for what I need it for, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. But that is with the caveat that this is more of a business printer with a resolution of only 600 to 1200 dpi. That's fine for text and graphics, and it's worked fine for my stickers, but it's only kind of modest quality for photo level prints. Some other people would probably rate this a 6 or 7 out of 10. And there's a few people that would give this a 0 out of 10 because they don't know about color management. Okay, so now that you're curious about color management, let me go ahead and tell you about that and all the software I use. Color management basically just means making sure the colors on your screen actually match the colors from your printer. I use the Calibrate Color Checker Display Pro to do this, and I print through Photoshop since it's a color managed app and lets me use ICC profiles. If you want a deeper dive on this and how to make art prints at home, let me know because it would definitely deserve its own video. Now for software, I mostly rely on Adobe because it's familiar to me, so Photoshop, Illustrator, Lightroom, After Effects, and Premiere. I also love DaVinci Resolve for video editing and Canva for quick designs. I use Procreate on my iPad for digital drawing and Cricut Design Space and Xtool Creative Space for creating products with those tools. For staying organized, I like to use Notion and Milanote, and for accounting, I use Wave. I got a custom business email using Google Workspace, and I got a work phone number using Google Voice. Finally, to run my shop, I use both Shopify and Etsy. This is, of course, the most important thing that any business needs, a website. And the first step to creating that website is securing a domain name that actually fits your business. For less than $1 a year, you can be sure your business has a professional and easy to share domain name. I don't mean something messy like www.yourbiz1234.com. No, with a .online domain name, your website address is sleek, memorable, and instantly credible. .online is the most trusted new domain out there with over 3.5 million users worldwide. From small businesses like yours to big names like the Colombian megastar Maluma or the tech learning platform Skill Up Online. Oh, and even Minesweeper. Because the word online is understood in over 24 languages and searched over 130 million times each month on search engines, having it built into your domain can give your business long-term SEO benefits. You can find .online on all the big trusted sites like GoDaddy or even straight from website builders like Wix and Shopify. So if you're ready to lock in your business's domain name, check out the link in my description. You can use my name, Leanne, as the code to snag your .online domain name for just 99 cents for the first year. And of course, thank you to .online domains for sponsoring this video and for supporting my channel. Getting back to discussing equipment and such, the vinyl cutter I use for making stickers, bookmarks, and so on is the Cricut Joy Extra. In my opinion, it is just fine. I really like how small and convenient it is, and Cricut has made enough upgrades recently that I don't have a lot of issues, though by now I've already learned all the hacks and workarounds. My main quip with it is how loud and slow it is, though it also tends to bend the mats because of these little ledges here, which my other Cricuts didn't do. But even so, I don't currently have plans to trade this out. I only use it for stickers and I'm familiar with the Cricut workflow. However, if I had the spare change, I'd choose the Sizer Juliet over this in a heartbeat. She's cute, but she gets a 6 out of 10. One way I'm thinking about my ratings is if I was starting my business over, would this be the same brand, the same item that I buy or not? So with that being said, would I buy this again? I think so. Would I buy my Munbin again? Yeah, it's fine. Would I buy my Cricut again? I don't know. I think only this one, the Cricut Joy Extra, because it's small and convenient, that would be the only one that I would be willing to buy again as far as the Cricut brand goes. This guy I would also buy again, but only because of what I'm using it for. If I needed to print something really high quality, like an art print or photos, I would not use this. It does a good enough job that I'm satisfied with how my stickers come out, but it is not the same level at all as my other printer, obviously. So there are things that I have to print on my other printer because the quality is not as good with this one. Now this paper cutter. This is also a hard one. This is one of those that's very useful for specific things. So if you're going to use it enough for those specific things, it's good. The primary function of this is to cut a lot of paper at once. I had plans to use this one more to make like notepads and stuff, and I never got around to that. And if I had done that, I think it would have been totally worth it. But because I didn't do that, I think I would have saved a lot of time and kind of frustration if I had just outsourced the things that I cut with this. It is heavy and big and noisy and a little bit of a pain, but also a little bit fun to use. So honestly, I don't really regret the decision to buy this, but I definitely feel like I could have just done the outsourcing thing and it would have saved me a lot of time. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. It's not great, sometimes it bends a couple pages, but it's not bad either. It does its job okay. Along with printers, paper cutters also are a pain, in a little bit of a different way though. Whereas printers always seem to have printing issues, paper cutters all seem to have a different purpose, so it feels like I need to have 4 different ones. After buying 3 other paper cutters, I ended up buying this one because I needed something that was really good for my art prints. The other paper cutters were just not cutting it, literally. This is the Rototrim Pro 24, and it was a bit of a splurge for me because I wanted something good for my fine art prints. It's pretty great, a little bit loud, but it makes nice straight cuts. I definitely wish I had gotten a smaller version, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this an 8 out of 10. I think that if I had just gotten a better version of the guillotine paper cutter, I could have used that for my art prints. But this one here was not good enough. It tore at some of the pages and it cuts a little crooked sometimes. That being said, I still use this trimmer all the time. I just think it's worth investing in a better version of it. So this one specifically, the Swingline Classic Cut Light, I'm giving a 4 out of 10. And these ones just really can't handle most of the things that I am cutting, like cardstock and thicker paper. So this black trimmer came free with something else, but I think it's a good example of why you don't want to go cheap. It's really hard to line up a good cut with it. And this other one is easier to use, but the blade can slide off while you're using it, which is a pain. So honestly, just get the good trimmer from the start and skip struggling to use the cheap ones. 3 out of 10 for both of these. Another must-have for your business if you're shipping is a scale. This one, the Akutech, is nothing special. It works perfectly fine, but has one major downside. Any packages bigger than the scale cover the screen, so I can't read the weight. If you're in the market for a scale for the same use, make sure to get one with a detachable screen. For me, this is a 4 out of 10, and I would not repurchase the scale. This, I think, is called the Power Heat Press, and I bought it used, but I'm pretty sure it's originally from Amazon. It was decent and got the job done, but I almost always got a headache from unclamping it. I prefer screen printed or direct garment shirts, so pretty much my only use for it was tote bags. That, on top of the fact that I think there's much better presses out there, means I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. Now the scanner I wanted was the Epson Perfection V600, but I didn't want to pay for it, so I got its little brother, the Epson Perfection V39-2. I haven't gotten a lot of use out of this yet, fair warning, but it definitely provides good quality scans, which means I'm able to increase the size of some of my artwork for prints more than I was able to when I was just taking photos of my art. I would agree that it is an excellent budget scanner, making it an especially good choice for creative types and hobbyists. So I think an 8 out of 10 is fair. I do wish it was easier to scan my sketchbooks though. Alright, now I know you guys are wanting to know my honest opinion on this. So yeah, I would call this more of a luxury thing in my office. It is really cool. I love the things that I can make with it. It's cool. But it is way expensive. It is very expensive. I really love the leather wrap bookmarks that I make, and I would not be able to make those without this. But as I said earlier, I don't know how it compares to other brands. I just know that this works for me. I've had good experiences with it, and I like what it can do. If you're starting a business, I don't know if I would buy this unless you definitely have the extra cash for it. I just think that it's a very big investment. But personally, I have sold enough of the items that I've made with it to justify that amount. So that worked for me because I already had a business established. The other two things that I think you need to keep in mind specifically about this one is that the printer function is definitely pretty new, and I would not rely on that as a printer. I think it's really cool the fact that it can print on wood and other materials, but it's definitely not a replacement for normal printers. It doesn't even have black ink, but I'm sure the X-Tool is eventually going to upgrade that and it's gonna be even better. I just don't know when that's gonna be. If you are printing though, the owner of this business, Ink Aid, sent me these to try out and it made a huge difference. So if you are going to be printing on things like wood or even acrylic, I tried it on acrylic, you might wanna try these. The second thing you wanna keep in mind with this is that there are things in it that you have to keep replacing, like filters, and those can get expensive. And like the ink, if you're using the ink, you have to replace that. Like this thing here, I can't remember what it's called, but it filters the air and it gets dirty, and these things are pretty expensive. So just check the upkeep cost of this machine before you buy it. Also, cleaning it is a little bit tedious. I don't enjoy tedious tasks, so keep that in mind as well. Next up, some small tools that I think are worth mentioning. This is a corner rounder, which I love the results from, but the more orders I get, the less time I have for it. I would love to try one of these that can do a bunch of corners at once, but also, depending on what you're ordering, a lot of print services offer to do corner rounding for a small fee. Now this little slice safety cutter I bought to cut the backing of my stickers without damaging the stickers so they'd be easier to peel for my customers, but sometimes it does make a small indent in the sticker, so I don't use it a lot, but of course that could be user error if this is something you want to try out yourself. This though is the Fiskars craft knife, and I use it all the time. Definitely a must-have. Another tool of sorts you should consider is ink and stamps. Not only does it look cute on packaging and such, but it's also more eco-friendly, especially if you get algae ink. Also, there's tons of businesses that will make custom stamps for you, so you could get one with your logo and then use it on your products, for example. Or if you have a laser like the M1 Ultra, you can make your own stamps. If you want convenience though, there's also self-inking stamps like this one, which are nice. Another random tool I use all the time is my ruler and yardstick, and also a pick and spatula like these are useful when working with vinyl and stickers. For my magnetic bookmarks and sometimes packaging and maybe one day cards, I have a scoring board. It helps you make better and cleaner folds, as you can see between these two items, and especially with my magnetic bookmarks it looks a lot better. Next, I use this vinyl squeegee with felt all the time when making stickers and bookmarks. This is because I use self-adhesive cold laminate on my stickers, so if you don't use that, you probably wouldn't need this. Okay, and this one seems really random, but I use it all the time with my enamel pins. It's literally just a piece of styrofoam, but it lets me poke my pins into their backing without damaging the prongs, so a win is a win. For my iPad, I use this rock paper pencil from AstroPad, and it just makes my screen feel more like paper when I'm drawing. This one is magnetic, so it's easy to remove and replace, though after a while if you let it get dirty, it will have a hard time sticking. It's a bit pricey, but I do really like it. Also, yes, stay tuned because I'll talk more about the iPad soon. That about covers all the tools and equipment I use. Let's move on. Alright, let's talk about my setup, my workspaces. The computer I use is just a laptop. It's an Apple M2 Max with 64 gigabytes. It is directly connected to a NAS system that the line runs through our attic to a different room where the NAS is sitting. Basically, it's just this machine that has all of the hard drives in it so that it can hold a lot of storage. My husband works in the film industry, editing and VFX, and he needs like terabytes of storage, so that's why I also have that to work off of. Now this laptop stand, it was $10. Worth every penny. This second monitor is considered a gaming monitor, so the graphics on it are very nice. I can't remember what kind of monitor it is. If I find it, I will let you know. But having a second monitor is amazing, especially if you have a laptop since the screen is smaller. A good pair of headphones is nice if you're doing editing and stuff. Mine are old. I'm gonna get some new ones soon, I promise. I also have these Bluetooth ones, but they hurt my ears after a while, so I don't really use them for editing much. Also, the quality is not going to be on par with Audio-Technica. Since recording this, I did finally buy a new pair of headphones. I thought about just getting Audio-Technica again, but then I found these Rode NTH100M headphones, and I am absolutely loving them. The headset version comes with a microphone, so I can just use that for my voiceovers now. But previously, this stand I think is originally for like drums or something like that, but it's nice because it's very heavy. And this is my Rode mic that I use for my voiceovers. It does have this little screen thing to help with so I can just sit here and do my little voiceovers and edits. Now, a warning about iPads is that even though this is the third generation, it's from like 2020, still works great. I did not get one with enough storage on it. I only have 64 gigabytes. As someone that uses Procreate, which takes up a lot of space, it's not enough. I have to delete things. I have to take files from my Procreate and offload them. So if you're in the market for an iPad for drawing and Procreate and such, make sure you get enough space on it. This shelf is an IKEA Ivar shelf. I really wanted one because I like the look of them and because you can move the shelves around, but they are a little bit kind of cheaply made, I would say. But for the price, I guess it kind of makes sense. I also get asked about this shelf all the time, and it's literally something I got before college back in like 2017, so I don't know. This pegboard is also one of my favorite things. It's an IKEA pegboard, and I do think that these things here are kind of exclusive to IKEA's brand, like the way that they make the holes, but I still like it. I also have this cute pegboard that I got from Aldi, and then I hung 2 sheets of just normal pegboard from Lowe's on my wall. These use much more common hooks that you can get at like most hardware stores. Now this huge little thing here is a little bit DIY'd, but partially just modular storage things from Simply Tidy at Michael's is the ones that I have, but IKEA and places like that have similar ones. This top cube is DIY'd from plywood and stuff. I have it in one of my vlogs that I will link either up here or in the description. And I attached it the same way that you attach these down here. There's a hole in the bottom and a hole in the top of this and a bolt that goes like this. My main complaint about these, besides them being white, which is kind of boring, is that they're not quite deep enough drawers for some of the things that I wanted to put in here. It is only 13 inches deep, but it does great for storage of some things, and it is a lot cheaper than the thing that was on my wish list. So when I say it's modular, like this cube here can replace these half cubes that are on top of these drawers. So that's how it works, it's interchangeable. Same idea with this guy here. Instead of having a full cube, I could have a half cube if I wanted. But I do like the height of this one because I could put my paints right here while I'm using my easel. And so this is just storage of my art supplies right now. All of these are on wheels, which is nice. Everyone always asks me about this cart, and I understand why, because it's literally the perfect size for my M1 Ultra. But I hate to break it to you, but I got it at a yard sale, so I don't know how you could purchase one yourself. It also would have been nice to add another shelf down here because this is a mess. If you are looking for something similar to this, I would search printer stands because I think that's what this is. This table, do yourself a favor and don't ever buy anything like this. Way too wobbly. I bought these legs at like Lowe's and I attached them to a butcher block. Yeah, it's not sturdy. This desk, on the other hand, I've gotten so much use out of. It's on wheels, so I can easily move it for when I'm filming things, and I can use it for art or for shipping if I need it, any kind of extra workspace. This is a butcher block that I bought discounted, and I attached it to some standing electric desk legs. I like this desk even better though, because it is a little bit bigger than that one over there, but it is also an electric standing desk. The brand is FlexiSpot, which I feel like is kind of one of the OGs of standing desks. It comes with a tabletop, unlike the other one where it's just bought the legs separately. The desktop is not real wood like my butcher block over there. It is covered in whatever that stuff is called, which is kind of nice because it makes it lighter, but I do like the look of the butcher block better. I also want to point out the wire management my husband set up for me because it's so nice. I have 2 of these baskets to hold wires and power strips, and then this is my OWC 10-port Thunderbolt Pro dock. Everything plugs into it, my Ethernet cable for faster internet, my second monitor, my headphones, and more, and then just one cable connects to my laptop from it, giving me access to all of that. Super convenient. It's attached to the desk by a custom 3D printed holder, and all the wires are neatly held up with adhesive cable clips, which I highly recommend. Next, 2 items I love to use for storage. This is the Simply Tidy photo storage case, which I use primarily for transporting stickers, postcards, keychains, bookmarks, and more to my markets, but also just as normal storage. I did buy 2 of these and the handle broke on one, fair warning, so you do have to be a little careful with them. They're definitely very plasticky, but they're very useful as well. The second item is this organizer for my stickers. I chose this one, the 24 drawer craft cabinet from the Container Store, because it's one of the few that I've found that could fit my 4-inch stickers perfectly. Otherwise, there's nothing special about it. It just gets the job done. Okay, so this chair. I can justify almost everything in here, even if it was an expensive item to buy for my business, except for probably this, because it was just a splurge. However, I don't know how to sit in a chair normally, so it is one of my favorite things that I've ever bought. And also, I did buy it used. Now let's talk about supplies and materials. I won't be able to talk about everything because there's so much, but I do want to talk about some of the things that I loved and did not like so that you have a decent review. I get asked the most about sticker paper, so here are some of the ones I've tested, all being printable vinyl. Koala, it's good and many people love it, but it does have this text on the back, which I personally think looks less professional. The Koala holographic doesn't have that, which is cool, and this is a fun one to try out, although it doesn't work with every design. Ava, Homsto, and Staccato, I'm not 100% sure on these ones. I've used them in the past, but they're not favorites, and I know that at least the Staccato has a lot of fans. Online Labels also has a lot of fans. It's kind of an OG, in my opinion. It's pretty good, but they are a little bit thin. Personally, my favorites are Luxiton, Joyeza, and QYH. And 2 that I had bad experiences with are HTB Ront and J&J Packaging. Now I always laminate my stickers to make them scratch and water resistant. I've used the Avery ones because it's the easiest to get a hold of, but usually I use AuraGuard, and I really like it. I've also used these 3 different holographic laminates, which are pretty fun and they've had good results. I've tried a few different photo papers for my magnetic bookmarks, the first being Better Office. I decided the 200 GSM was just too thin and flimsy for me, so I then tried the Koala one, which is 260 GSM. It's good and I like it, but I decided I wanted even thicker paper for my bookmarks, which meant I actually had to outsource them. I couldn't find really thick photo paper. So nowadays I send my Cricut print and cut file to Uprinting or a similar site and get something like the 14-point glossy cardstock, which is over 300 GSM. I also always laminate my bookmarks for scratch resistance. For tote bags, I order DTF transfers if there's a lot of colors and screen print transfers if it's just a couple, usually from 613 Originals, though I haven't tried many other places. You just apply these with a heat press. For shirts, DTF can be very thick and plastic feeling, just as a warning. I always use Comfort Colors and I get them professionally screen printed. Now, papers for art prints. Again, I'll make a more in-depth video about art prints if you want, but in general, I love all of these brands: Red River, Canson, Moab, Epson, Automule, and Canon, and would just recommend you order a sample pack from some of these for you to try out yourself. For more normal printing like thank you cards and sticker backing, I get bulk packs of these from the Paper Mills store because I've been able to find more eco-friendly and recycled options there. Though I also love to outsource by ordering postcards for my thank you cards instead of printing them myself. For packaging and shipping, most of my products go into either a glass seam bag or an eco-enclosed plastic bag made from recycled materials. I have tried these crystal clear eco bags from clearbags.com where I get my glass seam bags, but I learned that unless someone has access to commercial composting, these just go back into landfill because they're not recyclable. To package my art prints, I use backing board and crystal clear bags that are acid free, both from clearbags.com as well. Though I did recently buy this multicolor pack of backing boards from Amazon that are pretty cute. For shipping my stickers, I use craft envelopes sealed with glue tape, a thank you sticker, and sometimes some washi tape. I highly recommend getting envelopes with the peel adhesive strip to save you time. My stickers are packaged in glassine envelopes with cardstock, so I've never had any complaints about a bent sticker while still being able to send them as USPS stamped letter mail. You can also send bubble mailers as stamped letter mail if they meet the other requirements. So this is how I send my magnetic bookmarks so they have more protection. I use these bigger bubble mailers to send my enamel pins, though these are sent as a package, not letter. Pretty much all of my packaging from here on out is from eco-enclosed, by the way. Occasionally I'll use these paper bubble mailers, but I don't have a lot of products that this works for. For my art prints and sometimes sticker or bookmark orders, I use flat mailers. I send my 5x7, 8x10, and even 11x14 prints with these, and so far no issues. I ship my totes and shirts in either poly mailers or custom sized boxes from eco-enclosed, of course. Most of the time I'm reusing protective packaging like craft paper that I got with things I ordered, but I also have this recycled tissue paper that's cleaner looking. And lastly, this is my water activated tape I use to seal my packages, and these are just some little cards I got from eco-enclosed that I sometimes throw into my orders that give a little bit of info about recycling. Lastly, I'm going to show you my film gear. This is the light that I use the most. It is a Aperture 60D, and it itself is small, but I do have a light box on here from the brand Newer, which is considered kind of an affordable brand for people in the film and photography realm. And it's on a metal Newer stand as well. I like it a lot, but I don't know how I'm going to be using this when I move to a smaller place, so that'll be fun to figure out. This is just a budget-friendly LED panel. I have two of these. They work, but they're cheap. Even though I like my other light better, this one is nice because it has batteries. And then this is a light box, which in case you don't know, just kind of softens the light. I think I was calling it a light box, but I think it's a soft box. This is just a random stand that does its job right. The brand is Impact. This is my Gorilla Pod. I use it all the time, either for my camera, my phone, or specifically this little light that I use a lot. I don't have the head on there right now, but yeah, this thing is pretty handy. But speaking of this light, this is the Nanlite Lito Light 5C. It's a pretty powerful little light. I got it so that I could have color in the background mostly. I'm a sucker for the whole like teal and orange thing. Ooh. It's also magnetic, which is kind of cool. Not that I ever use that feature, but it exists. This is a switch pod that my husband got for us traveling mostly because it's just fun and easy to use. This is the Freewell carbon fiber travel tripod. It's super lightweight with unique legs here. I really like it, especially compared to my past clunky tripod, but I wish it could go higher, and it's definitely a bit overpriced. Next is my newer DL100 wireless dolly. I'm still kind of playing around with this one to see what kind of unique shots I can get with it. It's definitely a fun little item to have. Also, sorry for all of my 7 out of 10 ratings. Most of these things are either just a 7 for usefulness or a 7 because it's fun to have. Not a lot of must-haves here or anything special about these brands. It's just the general item itself that's useful. Like this item is literally just a phone holder. I don't know what brand it is, but it's definitely useful. I use it to mount my phone to all of the stands I just showed you. Like in the last clip, I showed both a ball head and this phone holder on my dolly. This is my little MOFT stand that I use all the time. Works with MagSafe. It's handy. It's a little overpriced, but it's nice. I use it a lot. I even just use it in daily life to just prop my phone up so I can watch videos and stuff. Another thing that I've used for my phone a lot is this gooseneck stand. It attaches to like your desk or whatever, and then you can just move this around. It is very cheaply made though, but I still use it a lot. All of my videos, except for the 2 videos before this one gets posted, were filmed on my Panasonic GH5. And I also had the Panasonic Lumix 12 to 35 millimeter 2.8 aperture lens with it, and this was a great lens. I pretty much just used it exclusively. The main thing I didn't like about my GH5 is the focus was awful, but my husband just bought me my new camera, which is an FX30, and I love it a lot. One thing to know about cameras, in case you don't know, lenses are super important, almost more important than the camera itself. So just keep that in mind as I'm telling you about the camera and lenses. The lens that I'm using right now is a zoom lens. It's a Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter 2.8 f-stop. But I also have these fancy prime lenses that I used in my flower painting video, if you go back 2 videos. These are cinema lenses, and you do have to switch them out, so I don't use them quite as often as I use the one right now because it can zoom in and out easily. But these are very nice lenses. They go down to a 1.2 aperture. I have a 50, 35, and 24 in that. I also do have an Insta360 camera. This is an older one, so they have made much better cameras by this point. Like action cameras have gotten pretty good since this one. I don't really use it a lot, but you can definitely get some cool shots with it. This is another camera I have. This is the Sony ZV-1. I mostly just use this one when I'm going out in public because it's so much smaller. This is a free world monitor that can go on top of my camera so I can see what's going on. Very cool, very useful. I have a Tiffin variable ND filter that I use all the time. It's like sunglasses for your camera. Definitely one of my most used things. This is my new Hollyland microphone set. I am obsessed with these now. I love them so much. I've been wearing one this whole video and you haven't seen it, but even if you had seen it under my hair, it doesn't look that bad because it's just a little dot. It comes with 2 and the receiver, and you can use it with your phone. Before I got this microphone, I was using these Rode mics, which were kind of the first ones of their kind, but now they're a little big and clunky. Also, I managed to break this a couple of weeks ago, which is why I had the excuse to buy the new ones. Also, before I had this mic that I can use with my phone, I had this that I plugged into my phone. But the thing that was annoying about this is I would have to take my case off of my phone, and I wouldn't be able to listen back to videos that I shot without taking this off. My last microphone is this Rode VideoMic Pro Plus shotgun mic, which can attach to my camera with the shoe mount. I use this a lot anytime I'm not using the Hollyland ones. So I guess that is about everything that I've used for my small business. If I missed something that you've seen in a video, leave it in the comments and I will answer any questions you have about it. But I guess it's time to add everything together and see how much this room is actually worth. While I'm adding the totals up here, I just want to point out that this is what I accumulated after 3 years. I started my business from my kitchen table using a 20-year-old printer and a borrowed Cricut. But I hope you feel a little more informed about what you need or don't need to run your own small business like mine. 0, 0, carry the 1, 2. So that is a grand total of $17,000. I'm sure that's the reason my business wasn't making 6 figures. All of my tools and equipment was about $9,000, my workspace was about $2,000, and my film equipment was about $6,000. Definitely explains a lot. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this other video from me. See you for the next one.